Ever wondered why some subway stations are sealed shut? Beneath the bustling streets of Manhattan lies a network of forgotten tunnels, and one of them holds a secret that has haunted New York transit workers for decades. In November 1999, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority assigned a routine inspection team to examine an unused tunnel section beneath Lower Manhattan. The tunnel had been sealed since the 1930s during subway system renovations, and officials needed to assess its structural integrity before planned expansion work. Mike Rodriguez, a veteran tunnel inspector with over 15 years of experience, led the two-man team into the abandoned passage. "I'd been in hundreds of these old tunnels," Rodriguez later recalled. "They're usually just dirty, forgotten spaces. But this one felt different the moment we stepped inside." The team's flashlights cut through decades of accumulated dust as they made their way deeper into the tunnel. The air was stale and heavy, undisturbed for over 60 years. About 200 feet in, Rodriguez's partner, Tony Chen, noticed something unusual on the tunnel walls. Handprints, hundreds of them, pressed into the soot-covered walls in what appeared to be a deliberate pattern, leading deeper into the darkness. "At first, we thought maybe they were from the original construction crews," Chen explained to investigators. "But as we examined them closer, something wasn't right. The prints were too small to belong to adult workers, but they were positioned too high on the walls for children to have made them." The handprints created an eerie trail along both sides of the tunnel, as if someone, or something, had been desperately feeling their way through the pitch-black passage. Some prints showed finger marks dragged downward, as though whoever made them had been sliding down the walls. Following the trail of handprints, the workers continued deeper into the tunnel, until they reached what should have been impossible. The passage ended in a solid brick wall that appeared to have been hastily constructed. According to their blueprints, the tunnel should have continued for another 300 feet. As Rodriguez examined the sealed wall with his flashlight, both men froze. From somewhere behind the bricks came a sound that made their blood run cold. 3 distinct knocks, then silence, then 3 more knocks, perfectly spaced and deliberate. "It wasn't the sound of settling concrete or expanding metal," Rodriguez insisted. "These were intentional knocks, like someone was trying to communicate from the other side." We grabbed our equipment and got out of there as fast as possible. The 2 workers immediately reported their findings to MTA supervisor Janet Walsh, who initially dismissed their claims as imagination, fueled by the creepy environment. But when both men refused to return to complete the inspection and submitted formal resignation letters the same day, Walsh decided to investigate personally. "By the way, would you dare explore an abandoned subway? Comment yes or no, I want to see how many of you would risk it." Walsh's research into the tunnel's history revealed disturbing information that had been buried in decades-old files. The section had originally been part of a planned expansion in the 1930s, but construction was abruptly halted and the area sealed after what official reports vaguely described as unforeseen circumstances during excavation. More troubling were the personnel records Walsh discovered. 3 construction workers had been reported missing during the tunnel project in March 1932. The men had been working the night shift when they simply vanished. Their tools were found abandoned in the tunnel, but no trace of the workers was ever discovered. Security guard Marcus Williams had been patrolling the abandoned tunnels for over a decade when he came forward with his own terrifying encounter. 6 months before the 1999 inspection, Williams claimed he had seen something that still haunts him. "I was doing my regular rounds around 2 a.m. when I noticed a figure standing on the old platform," Williams testified. "It looked like a small person in outdated work clothes just standing there perfectly still. When I called out, it turned to look at me, and I could see right through it. The face was pale as chalk with hollow dark eyes. It stared at me for maybe 10 seconds, then just faded away." Williams reported the incident, but his supervisors attributed it to stress and poor lighting. He never spoke about it again until the handprint discovery brought renewed attention to the sealed tunnel. Transit historian Dr. Elizabeth Hayes was consulted to examine the tunnel's construction records. Her research uncovered a pattern of unexplained incidents dating back to the tunnel's original excavation. The workers in 1932 reported strange sounds coming from behind the walls they were digging through, Dr. Hayes explained. They described hearing knocking sounds and what sounded like children calling for help. Work was suspended multiple times due to these disturbances before the project was finally abandoned. In March 2000, the MTA made the decision to permanently seal the tunnel with reinforced concrete, citing structural concerns. But workers on the ceiling crew reported hearing the same rhythmic knocking throughout their work, growing louder and more frantic as they completed the job. To this day, subway passengers on trains passing near the sealed section report unusual experiences. Conductors receive complaints about strange knocking sounds echoing through the cars, even when trains are traveling at full speed. Some passengers claim to see a pale figure standing in the darkness of unused platforms, watching as trains rush past. The tunnel remains sealed, its secrets buried beneath tons of concrete and decades of official silence. But late at night, when the subway system falls quiet, some transit workers swear they can still hear it. 3 knocks, silence, then 3 more knocks, echoing endlessly through the forgotten darkness beneath Manhattan.